And good evening, this is Bob W6CGX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The Papa system is an open membership supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the Papa system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com. That's PAPASYS.com and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system, Great Outdoor Net. Well, happy Sunday evening to everybody. Happy belated Valentine's. Hope that was good for everyone. It's just love, go out and find someone on the street and say, I love you. You might get in trouble, but at least you're sharing it a little bit. This is Bob W6CJX for the Papa System once a week. Great Outdoor Net, 8 p.m. here on the Mighty Papa System. Well, good job, you guys, on the DRT net. We heard that just before. And Steve always does a great job as net control anywhere he goes, even the Saturday Night Roundtable. He has a knack for that thing. Looks like we're headed for a big storm. Let's put it this way, that sounds like the big storm's headed for us. We'll see. People are building it up on the news and the weather stations and channels, but you never know. If it's the rock's wet, it's raining, right? We went through that on the weather net that time. That was kind of fun. And if the rock's swinging, it's really windy. W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Let's see, what other information anybody checking out the Olympics? That's been exciting. I've been recording a lot of them, but I just haven't had the time to look at them all. And but I guess once they're recorded, I have them for something like 9 months or something on DirecTV, so I can go back and check them out as we go. I'm not into like the whole competition thing. So let's see if I don't think Steve went to the trail. So Mr. Dusty Boots is not been on the trail. So he had artificial dust put on. So anyway, he did the Saturday Night Roundtable last night. It was very good. Did a great job, Steve. So if you're out there, KI6LOV, we'd love to hear from you tonight. Anything you have for your section of the Great Outdoor Net, please come now.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. This is Steve, KI6LOV, and before I give you my report here, I had a funny thing happen. After the Topanga net ended on the over on the other repeater, I said to myself, all right, I'm done. I can take a break. And I turned off my radio, and I'm sitting there, and I go, oh, no, wait a minute. No, I can't turn off. I got to turn it back on. I need to get on Bob's net. So here I am. All right. Yes, indeed. I was not at the cabin this weekend, but it's all ready to deal with all the rainfall. I certainly hope I've done the best I can. But the real news from last week is regarding the Friends of Big Bear Valley and the Big Bear Bald Eagle Cam. A woman named Sandy Steers passed away, and she was the nice white-haired old lady that you would always see on TV talking about Jackie and Shadow. She was the basically the spearhead of the Friends of Big Bear Valley. She's kind of like their Cecil. And she was the one who convinced the Forest Service to let them put the camera up in the nest originally. So that was the coolest thing ever. And the eagles have been seen mating, and they've been fluffing up their nest, and they're going to be giving it another try, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for Jackie and Shadow. And that's the thing about eagles. They never look back. They only move forward. And if you check out the Big Bear Eagle Cam, that's awesome. And if you go to the Friends of Big Bear Valley website, you can get the history of the eagles and all sorts of other information. KI6LOV, back to you, Bob.
Well, you bad boy. You turned off your radio just before the great outdoor net. How dare you? Well, I don't blame you. A lot of people do, but it's just, yeah, and it was probably my fault too, because I said, okay, thanks, Steve, and hope to see you soon. Well, I meant to say, we'll hopefully hear you soon on the Great Outdoor Net. So thank you, Steve. Yeah, it's very sad. I saw the first early news on that, and I knew exactly who it was and what she had done, and that's just, well, that's part of life too, just like everything else, but she contributes quite, or had contributed quite a bit to the Friends of Big Bear. And we have, like I said, or you said, her to thank for the cameras and where we are today with that. I mean, it's just like you're peering over the nest and looking into it when they're in the nest, which is impossible if you were a human, without being a camera. Thank you, Steve. We'll get you back on the trail. It might be not as dusty next week, but we'll see. Maybe something happen. Thank you as always. Again, this is Bob, W6CJX. I'm Net Control for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Continuing with our moving forward with our spring hiking series. I promise it won't be like a Netflix series. It's only going to be a couple of things. Well, last week we had, chasing waterfalls, and we see some of those waterfalls that probably won't be there later in the year, or in the summer, in the season. So that's why it's kind of chasing waterfalls. Well, before they drive up. Yeah, but drive up waterfall, please. Okay. I'll stop. Now, let's head on over to our research center, and I think we have Lewis tonight. Lewis, what is going on? What is up?
Good evening to everyone on the Great Outdoor Net tonight. This is Lewis, your Papa System outdoor research host for this evening. Layering 101. Here are some great layering tips for an enjoyable spring hike this season. Layering is the most effective way to stay comfortable on the trail because it allows you to regulate your body temperature as your activity level or the weather changes. Instead of one heavy coat, we use a system of thinner layers that each serve a specific purpose. The goal is to manage moisture like sweat and trap heat while protecting you from the elements like wind and rain. Think of it as a three-part system. This is an overview of the base, mid, and shell layers and how they work together to keep you dry and warm. The base layer, the wick. This layer sits directly against your skin. Its sole job is to move sweat away from your body so you don't feel clammy. Base layer materials. Synthetics like polyester nylon or natural merino wool. Pro tip, avoid cotton at all costs. Cotton absorbs water, stays heavy, and saps your body heat when wet. Hikers often say cotton kills for a reason. Base layer, clothing weight. Choose lightweight for active summer hikes and mid-weight for freezing temperatures. The mid-layer, the insulation. This layer traps your body heat to keep you warm. You can even stack 2 mid-layers if it's exceptionally cold. Mid-layer materials. Fleece, great for high-intensity hiking because it breathes well even if it gets a little damp. Puffy jackets. Down or synthetic, best for rest stops or very cold, dry conditions. Down is lighter and more packable, but synthetic stays warm if it gets wet. Vests. A secret weapon for keeping your core warm while letting your arms dump excess heat. The outer layer, the shell. This is your shield against wind, rain, and snow. It doesn't provide much warmth on its own, but it protects your insulation layers from elements. Hard shell. Fully waterproof and windproof, like Gore-Tex, best for heavy rain or high winds. Soft shell. Highly breathable and water-resistant. Perfect for moving fast in light mist or windy but dry days. These are just a few spring hiking trail tips to ensure that you have the best experience in the great outdoors. Back to Bob, W6CGX, Net Control.
Well, thank you, Lewis. Great job. Yeah, those the different layers. I remember when I was avidly hiking. I had a couple of these great kind of t-shirts, sleeveless t-shirts, and so they were synthetic, and just your arms were kind of exposed. So that would be my base layer. Then I'd put on a hiking shirt, long sleeve, and then even now I like some of these fishing shirts, that are the same material, very synthetic. Um, ISP or not ISP, what is it? The the copper tone rating, whatever that is for your ozone there is like 50% or something. Anyway, and then have like a windbreaker or something like that you can throw on if it gets kind of windy or maybe it is drizzling. But layering is very, very important. And my very, very favorite is the pit zips. You got to have pit zips. I have those in like 2 or 3 of my jackets. W6CJX here for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. We're talking layering 101 or anything you got. If you'd like to talk about something else or something you did over the weekend. It was a beautiful weekend where we were all kind of getting out and hitting the parks and trails and things just because we know it's not going to be pleasant the rest of the week. But we know it's a lot of fun anyway. All right. With that, let's see. I think we're done. Ready for some check-ins? Let's see who's out there tonight. If you want to just come by and say hello, that's more than happily accepted. And we do accept returns, just like Amazon. W6CGX, please come now.
November 6, Alpha, Quebec, Dale.
Kilo 6, Alpha, Kilo, Chow, Frank.
Kilo 6, Hotel November Golf, Adrian.
KO 6, LQJ, Jeff, Burbank.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima, Hal, San Marcos.
Kilo
Oscar 6, Lima Romeo Alpha, Bill in Simi Valley.
Bill in Simi Valley, coming back, would you please? I got Ron, but you guys doubled, so I just got Bill in Simi Valley.
That was Kilo Oscar 6, Lima Romeo Alpha, Bill in Simi Valley.
Thank you, Bill. Next station, please, and I got Ron. What did I do, scare everybody off? Oh my gosh. Well, that's okay. We ended up with 8 check-ins in one shot. So first round is in the bag here. Let's see. And don't forget the podcast. We do have a great follow-up afterwards. I put some fun stuff in there. So it's almost like you kind of have to listen to it all over again. And it's a lot more fun. N6AQQ, Dale, welcome. I don't know, anything you got on layering? It sort of comes natural sometimes to some people. They'll put on just, a t-shirt or something, or one of those tank top men. What do they call those? Wife beaters? I guess maybe that's not right. Probably not politically correct, but you know what I mean? Some kind of a light t-shirt and then put shirts over that. So in case, worst case, you start stripping down and then keep your skivvies on. Go ahead, Dale. N6AQQ.
Good evening, everybody. This is Dale on 6AQQ. As far as layering goes, I just wear synthetic jackets. I haven't done any much hiking lately because my wife hasn't wanted to go. So anyway, that's it. Saying hello. N6AQQ. Back to that. Thanks for doing it, Bob.
Well, I got a hello and a thank you. So I got that. That's awesome. Well, it's kind of layering can be done just sometimes when I know I'm going to get out early in the morning and it's a little chilly, even if I'm just going over to work on the trailer or even just run some errands, I'll put on something, 2 different things. And it's not so important if you're just, driving in a car or a truck or something. But out on the trail, when I used to go, it'd be like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd hit the trailhead and start going before a lot of people did. That way I could have kind of a nice, peaceful by myself hike in, and then usually there's 100 people on my way back out. So at least if something would happen to me, there's a bunch of people coming up the trail. And I would just, take off whatever layers and put them in my backpack. And so it works out pretty good. Thank you, Dale. And let's say hello to Frank, KK6, AKH.
Good evening, Bob, and everybody else on that KK6AKH here transmitting out of Ventura County. Yeah, Bob, I just wanted to check in, say hello. Not sure what the topic was, but just want to check in and wish everybody a safe week. And you guys be careful. And nothing else to report here, buddy. KK6AKH, back to net.
Always good to hear from you, Frank, for sure. Well, you're in Ventura County, so I heard you say that. So you're at home. We'll have to get something going there soon. Yep, come by and say hello. We're just talking about layering. We're kind of doing a little mini series of spring hiking. I figured we kind of covered the Olympics and all the snow skiing in a couple of nights ago. And then now we're just kind of heading down that pass. I mean, the time change is supposed to be like the 8th of March or something. So that's just around the corner. So things are going to get lighter later and be able to, get out of this hibernation mode that we're in. All right, Frank, take care, and good to hear you tonight. And let's say hello to Adrian, KK6HNG.
Good evening. This is Adrian, KK6HNG, on the Outdoors Net. So, okay, can you please repeat the subject of tonight? Because I missed it.
Well, I'm sure glad this wasn't the night I was going to give the test. No one's paying attention. I guess it's just the way I presented it. It's about layering your clothes. Maybe no one knows what layering. I can't even say it right. Layering means it's, just putting on like a light shirt, maybe a synthetic, and then putting on something a little warmer on top of that. And then, as it gets warmer during the morning and you're hiking, of course that happens too. You heat up, you got to start taking layers off, but you got to have layers. Otherwise you'll be down to, nothing. Go ahead, Adrian.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, interesting, because I was looking into layering myself for some time. Obviously, I'm thinking of a base layer, then on an intermediate layer, then a puffer or something, and maybe if that's too sensitive and it will catch around the branches or whatnot, maybe the wind coat or the rain coat on top of it or something like that. That kind of layering. And of course, being able to go back and forth. But I heard of another interesting layering, which is to use, instead of the base layer, between the base layer and the mid layer, a base layer made out of a mesh. So think like a net, but with smaller holes, right? And the theory is that it would produce an air pocket there that would keep you drier and warmer, assuming that on top of it you have a moisture wicking layer, like a mid layer that's able to do that. So that's something I'm willing to test a little bit. Now, I had something meshy like that, which I tested on warm weather, and I have to admit that if you don't stay in the sun so you get burned, that mesh layer actually keeps you pretty cool and you don't sweat, even if you hike badly. Now, how it works in cold weather or up in the Sierras or whatnot, okay, that's to be determined. I don't know. So, for whatever, there is a European European factory that makes that kind of stuff. I didn't want just to pay $100 or so for a test. So basically, I started for a test with a $10 whatever Chinese whatever, something like that. A synthetic material that doesn't absorb water and does that kind of stuff, like a t-shirt made out of that. So anyway, I'm going to see how it works, but just interesting how the layering technology evolves and what kind of options you have there. Back to net, KK6HNG.
Well, that it's kind of a science, I mean, we don't all kind of sit there and study it but some of these professional athletes that do the, trail running or go on these super large circuits that they run, maybe for days at a time, and then they crash out in a little bivvy or something, or it's provided for them, and then they keep running. Those people pay attention to what they, it's a science, and they have that all calculated out of what they're wearing. But if you got any ideas of wearing some skimpy little mesh shirt at the campsite in this summer out at the island, I don't know. I might have to take a different campsite. I'm just kidding. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor. I'm working on getting our reservations. It's down.
You didn't get the idea, Bob. It's about having that under a mid-layer
Under,
thing,
yeah.
so that it will create an air pocket. Because if it's just that thing alone, obviously it's not going to produce the layering result that you want. KK6HNG.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. Yeah, I can picture it. I mean, it's sort of like a grid square thing that you'd wear, like you said, kind of a netting. I'm sure it's not big holes; they're probably small holes. But like they used to make didn't you guys? Everyone used to wear those football jerseys that you'd get at J.C. Penney or something, and it has a number on it, or if you actually played football, and it had all the holes in it, and that's this kind of thing like that. It's a nylon that breathes really, really well. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, that's a great take on that. I'm interested in seeing. No, I'm not interested in seeing anything, but I'm interested in seeing how it all turns out for you. Moving forward, KO6LQJ Jeff, what's up, my friend? How are you, and what's the weather in Burbank tonight?
Hey, Steve, it's Jeff. Hey, yeah, great weather here tonight. We've got a storm coming in, and should be a good one. Should be getting in around 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. But what I wanted to mention is a product called CoreLogic, spelled with a Q. So it's Quebec, Oscar, Romeo, Echo, CoreLogic on Amazon.com. And it's a base layer, and it's a compression shirt. So not only does it keep you insulated, but it keeps the man boobs at bay, which is desirable. It seems to work pretty well. Anyway, back to net. It's a good thing.
Well, you had me up to man boobs, because I have some. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I think I know what you mean, like a compression type. Well, how many years have they had to work on, wool, I guess, was the best thing back in the day. I mean, if we go back to, our boys there in Yosemite, and it's just like, wool was a blanket. I mean, their whole bedding thing was like a wool blanket, for like John Muir and those guys that are traveling, and, a cup of tea, a couple biscuits, that was their backpacking thing. I don't even know if they had a backpack, probably not, but wool was definitely king, and probably still is. I know in the military, the wool blankets, they can be soaking wet and you can still stay warm in them. So that's really good, Jeff. Yeah, thanks. We'll look that one up on Amazon. And let's say hello to Hal, Hal. They didn't care about us with our turnouts, if we were sweating or not. There was no such thing as base. Well, there is, and they even have that more now, in more modern firefighting. But back in the day, we had our street clothes on underneath them things, and man, it sometimes got rather uncomfortable. Over to you, Chief. Welcome.
November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima. Good evening, Bob, and thanks. Yeah, our uniform as a volunteer was a pair of coveralls. That was all we had, a helmet and gloves. But it got better as time went on. As far as hiking, not being an avid hiker, my layering consists of cotton T-shirts, flannel long sleeve shirts, and windbreakers. So I don't hike too much in the cold country or any country basically, but I'd like to, but just the body won't take it anymore. But like to listen to the net, listen to all the things that you guys do and all the fun you have. I wish I could do it. November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima, back to the net.
There we go. Thank you, Hal. I was waiting for some of the IDs to pass. I had an ID on my side on the network, and then Papa One, I think, decided to ID. Probably it's that time, I guess, around the half hour. Well, I guess back in the days of your volunteering, very similar to mine. I mean, we had those, it was really hard to keep those horses under control when they were pulling the fire engines, those, it was, no, I don't go back that far, but I go back to the 70s, mid-70s when I was my firefighter. And like I said, I still have my helmet. Just happens to be just like the one they used on emergency. How did I luck out with that? Anyway, now it really looks like one because I've fixed it up, as you've seen. Well, thank you, Hal. Yeah, it's just layering is just something you do, or like I say, consciously or unconsciously. But like it is kind of a science. So if you figure, you got to have these different kinds of shirts, and a lot of them now are the moisture wicking synthetic type of a T-shirt that you can put on, and yeah, and then like I said, I like those fishing shirts. I mean, you've seen those, right, with the hood and SPF. Yeah, that's what it is. SPF 50. You can put those on, and the hood comes over you, and it even has the little thumb holes, that you cover your hands while you're got the fishing rod out there. So those are pretty cool, easy to wear, and they're very, very comfortable. All right, thank you, Hal. Good to always hear you out there on the net tonight. Wouldn't be the net without you. If you don't have anything, you better at least come in and say hello. That's for sure. Let's head out to. Let me see if I got this right. Gosh, I can't ever think of it. Locust Cove. Yeah, Locust Cove, Virginia to K4PQH. Welcome, Ron.
You and Steve in my call sign. Kilo, Foxtrot, 4, Papa, Quebec, Hotel. And I'm coming out here from Cricket Haven, Locust Grove, Virginia. I have layered, particularly growing up in the Northeast, growing up in New York City, and down here in Northern Virginia for many years. Did a lot of, when I did Boy Scout camping and stuff, of course, we got into it. Didn't have the technologies back then that you have today. Now I basically go from the house into the garage, start the car up, go out, drive out through the driveway. And that might be out for a little while. So even in this cold weather, my top layer has been a sweatshirt, hooded sweatshirt, and that does me fine because I'm not running around outside too long. But good topic. Good to hear from everybody out there. And snow is starting to melt. Things are starting to warm up a little.
We lost Ron there. I think he's on the same radio. That's not him. He was on the same radio he was on last night, maybe, with Steve. And so he dropped out a couple times. Something's going on there. Otherwise, he sounds really good. Well, thank you, Ron. I guess I'll take it as that, and I can give you a call back or jump back in. We're almost down to this list anyway. KF4PQH from Russets Grove, Virginia. I have this guy living all over the place before we're through. Let's say I had a Bill out in Simi Valley. I think it's KC6. Is that right? LRA. Let's try that. If it doesn't work, as long as your name is Bill, you're welcome to come in.
All right. Good evening, Bob. Good evening, everybody on the net. It's K06, Kilo Oscar 6, Lima Romeo Alpha. Layers, that's been an evolving thing in my life because, the technology comes and you try it out, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But with me, it doesn't matter. It's winter, it's summer, I'm running way hot. So I got to be able to take all the layers off. Not all the layers, God, we don't want to do that ever. But I carry it all with me, unfortunately, and so I have it all stuffed in my pack. But I don't use much of it. But the thing that I found recently is just a really light windbreaker. I found that when I was for like mountain biking and stuff, and those things just roll up into a tiny ball, and just getting that wind off of you and getting that little bit of layer of air, since I run so hot, is normally all I need. But I don't know if any of you have this problem, but one of the problems that I have, I'm going to take a break real quick. One of the problems that I have is just synthetics. Base layer synthetics just react badly with me. It's just like they smell foul. You do like an hour in, and I smell like it's been a week. And so, but I did find a set of shirts at REI like back in the day, and I've kept them. Long sleeve shirts with some kind of like silver or copper or some microbial thing going, and those are the only ones that I can wear. And so I've kept those. But just covering up too in the summer. I learned that while I was working in Upper Egypt. But like long sleeves, always wearing pants, a buff, just keep that sun off of you, and it keeps you cool. In the summers, though, I still will wear cotton because it stays soaked in the summer, and that for some reason is really good with me. The wicking layers in the summer of the base layer, that just overheats me too much. So, but I agree with you on when you said pit zips. Got it. That's why I always have to wear a shell and can't wear a puffer when it's cold, because I got to have those pit zips to open them up running hot. So, but thanks for hosting the net, Bob, and I'm really excited to hear everybody else's stories, and I'm going to send it back to Net Control. This is KO6 LRA.
Well, a very nice report there, Bill. I appreciate that. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's kind of to each his own, too. You know, I mean, some people just say, don't worry about all that stuff. And then they just go and they have a good time either way. And sometimes something could go wrong and say, you should have done this. But and I found at REI, it was by Columbia. It's like a red windbreaker, but it says waterproof. And it seems to be. I've worn it in quite a few of our rainstorms here. I also have, a North Face rain jacket and all those things. You got to have all that stuff, right? I don't know how I can wear them all at one time, but this one it packs into its own self little pocket deal. So it's maybe 4 or 5 inches by 4 inches or something like that when it's packed away, and you can throw that in your backpack or I usually keep it inside the truck underneath the seat so that if we're out in a boot and it starts raining and pouring like it has sometimes, I have something to put on. All right. Well, thank you, Bill. Great to hear you there tonight. And enjoy the evening. And we're having some fun here. This is the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. I am Bob, W6CJX, not Steve. I know I've been called Steve by some of the best. So if you've called me Steve, it's okay. I understand. Could have been my middle name, but it isn't. It's John. Let's say hello. That was it. Who else are we going to say hello to? All right, we're going to say hello to the next group of stations. Let's go to the phones and see who's out there tonight. And who's screening those phones tonight? W6CJX, please come now.
KD6 LLB, Logan on All-Star.
Kilo, Foxtrot 4,
Victor Oscar Romeo,
Hotel,
Taylor, Ontario.
I don't know what's going on.
The last station with Ron, I got Ron, and I was listening to what Ron said. I didn't catch your call. I got Logan, and so whatever the other station was that tried checking in, please come back.
Kilowatt 6, Victor Oscar Romeo, Taylor, Ontario.
Kilo Oscar 6 Delta Golf X-Ray. Whiskey 2 Alpha Yankee Zulu.
This is Whiskey 6 Sierra Juliet Mike. Good morning. Good evening, Bob.
Well, kilowatts. It always throws me off, the kilowatt. I know think it's K6, but could you come back with your call one more time, please?
Yeah, I actually get to use the 6 appropriately. It's K6VOR, Victor Oscar Romeo.
Got it. K6VOR. All right, perfect. Thank you. I just like to keep it straight so that we don't... It sounds better. It sounds like you know what you're doing. We're organized here a little bit. KD6 LLB Logan. Something I was going to ask you. I know, yeah, we were talking about YouTube videos last night. I was thinking about your video that you did and really came out nice. And then when you put the music to it, I was just blown away. So, because I was listening to it on my headset and it's like, wow, this sounds really good. So, it has nothing to do with tonight's topic, but what kind of layering do you like to do? Go ahead and welcome.
Thanks, Bob, and good evening, everyone. This is Logan, KD6 LLB. Yeah, quick comment about that video. I did put that on YouTube somewhere. I'll see if I can make it a little easier to find. But I'm not able to post the music because I don't have whatever they would charge for a Waterboys song. I don't know, but I'm not going to spend money. So anyway, somewhere out there it's on YouTube, but without the music. Can't afford that. I'm not even sure if I ID'd. This is Logan, KD6 LLB on All-Star. So yeah, turns out I have a fair amount in common with Bill, KO6 LRA, I think it was. Yeah, puffy jackets or synthetic jackets are nice to have in the truck if you're going to be sitting, out at a car camping situation or something. Yeah, basically if I hike or do anything, my temperature goes way up, so I always have to be able to adjust. So sorry about the background noise there. So I really focus on things with like a front zip, a lot of ventilation, and a lightweight shell. But things like puffy jackets or down sleeping bags, my worst experience, or we'll call it a learning experience, was taking a down bag to the Sierras when the low temperature was somewhere around freezing, but not cold enough really for a down bag and a bivy sack. And it was raining off and on. And so I had the option to leave the bivy sack open and get wet that way, or to keep the bivy sack closed and get wet that way. And about 2 a.m, I had no down sleeping bag left. It was just soaked. It's a very tough night, and learned my lesson about layers. So, yeah. Oh, you mentioned vests, Bob. Yeah, I recently, well, in the last 5 or 6 years, sort of rediscovered those. And yeah, I tend to bring. In fact, I almost always bring a vest in addition to whatever my little, whatever jacket I have. It's a good way to get some, adjustability. And I definitely always focus on caps for the, make sure I have a cap for the coldest temperature. And let me think. One comment I actually reminded myself here on the note. I used to, with some of the older clothing that wasn't very breathable, when I used to ski, in the early 90s, late 90s, I used to have to take my jacket off on the ski lift and kind of shake it out and cool off. It might be 20 degrees and windy, but I just built up so much moisture. And with some of the newer clothing, and jackets, I can hike or bike or do whatever, and I don't have that same problem. And actually, a couple of things that I can mention. Somebody, I think Bill also mentioned ultralight windbreaker. The Patagonia, just a name drop, the Patagonia Houdini and the Patagonia, they have some lightweight, the really thin underwear with merino wool. And I mean, the Calpolene stuff is pretty good, but the merino wool actually seems to make a difference. It seems that way to me. And they also have some biking clothes that are, it's sort of obvious. They have wind protection in the front and ventilation in the back. And I'm sure there are lots of makers of, equivalent gear, but those are some that I've tried out that have made a big difference. Anyway, much better clothing out there. I don't know much about it, but I know that it's a lot easier to regulate my temperature than it used to be. KD6LOB, thanks again for doing the net, Bob.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of merino wool too. It's pretty forgiving and it's really nice. Or a blend. I've bought a lot of socks, even that I use for hiking socks. I usually buy hiking socks just to wear for everyday use. And there's nothing like a good rag sock, real wool rag. Oh, boy, let's try that again. A real wool rag sock for boots. But as long as you have like a little sock in between, that's kind of a layering effect too, like we discussed when we were doing hiking boots 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were talking about maybe having like a single sock that's kind of lightweight, just to keep that for when you're rubbing in your boot that it's not right directly to it, that kind of thing. That's kind of like layering, I guess. Thank you very much, Logan, and good to hear you tonight. As always, let's go back to Ron over in Locust Grove, Virginia, KF4 PQH.
Greetings, Bob and Annette. Again, this is KF4 PQH in Anfield Grove, South Carolina, Locust Grove, Virginia. Yeah, not sure what happened. This happened to me last night, too. I thought it was maybe the radio. I tried a different radio tonight. So first I was on my Baofeng. Now I'm on my Yaesu FT60. But somehow I got cut out. Might be internet issues, too. Let me just make sure you're still getting me.
Yep, you sound just fine.
I don't know how far I got with my babble before, but talked about back in my Boy Scout days and growing up in the Northeast, of course, New York City and Virginia, which is more north and different climates than you all got out there. And got into layering anymore, though, at my age. I jump from the house into the car, take the car somewhere, and I spend most of my time, even when it's cold, with just a hooded sweatshirt on. So that works out okay for me at this point in my life and my career. Don't do a lot of hiking or anything else anymore, but a lot of important. Of course, they've made a lot of progress in layering and the types of materials and things today. So enjoying Olympics. Regards to Carolyn out there. You all be safe. I know you got some weather coming that way. And 7-3. This is KF4PQH, and I'm going out and watch the grasshoppers at Locust Grove. Back to net control.
Well, I thought you might like that Locust Cove. Picturing some little boat ramp there and just I some of this stuff just I don't know where it comes from, but it surfaces, and unfortunately sometimes happens during the net. So you guys get to hear that too. That's pretty good. Well, yeah, when you get to a certain age, I mean, I got all these coats. I wish I still had my original down jacket, which was a North Face down jacket, but it was from like 1968 when I first got that, and my Loa boots that I purchased from the Mountain People, I think they were called back then, Nona and Steve Barker, who went on to make Eagle Creek equipment and packs and bags and stuff. I don't know how big they are today, but they made it big back then, at least with all the stuff they did up there in Idlewild. So yeah, definitely, just a sweatshirt or something, or just put like a t-shirt underneath the sweatshirt, go out, do what you got to do. When it starts getting kind of warm, you take the sweatshirt off. Pretty easy. You do the math. It's not that bad. Thank you, Ron. Thanks for coming back. I don't know either what's going on there, but when I heard that, I thought, that sounds like what happened last night. Let's say hello to Sam, W6SJM. What's going on, Sam? Are you in the country? And can you tell us or not? Anyway, go ahead, Sam. Welcome.
Hey, Bob. This is Whiskey 6 Sierra Juliet Mike. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you and be on the net. Yes, I'm in San Diego. We're going on our next photo trip here coming up in March, and we were going to go to Patagonia, which I think the layering would have been more appropriate. But this time we're going actually to the north coast of Colombia, to the Wajida Peninsula, looking for endemics. But, it's funny because I inevitably end up going to the Amazon basin that is on the eastern side, just on the eastern side of the Andes. And typically when you arrive, you're arriving up in places like Cusco and places that are really high up and going even further up for at least a few days. But the rest of the trip that I'm usually boiling, right? I'm usually in the jungles. So it makes it a very interesting packing endeavor. And I, like you mentioned, like another caller mentioned before, I think the merino wool layers, 200 weight, is my go-to. I go all the way from the socks to the underwear, the long underwear, to the long sleeve shirts, as well as even the little caps and sometimes the gloves. And that as my base layer to add like a thinner jacket over that turns out to be really good for me, because that way I don't have to pack too much for those climates, because inevitably, like I said, I'll spend a few days in those areas, but before I get down to the jungles, which of course I never want to see that again for the rest of the trip, the merino wool in that case, and I'm taking off as many layers as I can and protecting myself from insects. But back to you. Back to net control.
Well, that's great. Because you're talking about layering for a trip, which is way more than layering for a day hike or even a little backpacking trip. But you're, a perfect example. You're going to be up in the Andes and higher altitudes where it's going to be very cold, and then go down into the jungles. And you got to carry all your stuff with you. I guess you can't just leave it there and come back and get it later. So that's a great take on that. I really appreciate. Well, you're always welcome here Sunday night if you're down there in the jungles and like to come in, if you have that opportunity to do that again. Time-wise, I don't know how that works and stuff, but boy, that would sure make a great appearance, just pop in from down there. So thank you, Sam. And those that are maybe not familiar with Sam, you can go back and look at Wildlife Sam. He's one of our archived nets that we had. He's done a lot of great photography, and you'd have to check out his photography. It melts like butter when you look at it, or you melt like butter when you look at it. It's so beautiful photography. Thank you, Sam, so much for your help and time and being on the net before, and hopefully we'll get you on from down yonder. That would be wonderful. Let's say hello to Taylor. Sorry, I don't write very well. Taylor K6VOR in Kentucky, I think. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Bob. And that K6VOR, Taylor. And, well, I'm portable in Ontario tonight, so kind of sort of back home. But in town for some work. But, hey, man, great net. And what I was going to throw in my 2 cents is that the product that I don't hike but ride motorcycles is the layering product. And I think I get them at Costco. They usually come in packs of 3 or something like that, but it's 32 degree, and they make shirts and long johns, some socks and base glove type stuff. But it's light enough, and it's kind of made of that same fabric that like a quick dry, almost like a workout shirt would be made out of. And so you put that on, it's nice, it's slick. So you can put a cotton shirt over the top of it, or you can put another shirt over the top of it, and it just slides right on. It doesn't end up getting all bunched up, so it's actually really nice. But that was my 2 cents from it. Good air, everybody tonight. Enjoy the rain. You'll be wishing you had it here in a few months if everything holds true as California is. So 7-3 all around. Thanks again, Bob. 7-3. Good night. K6BOR.
Oh, that's great, Taylor. Thank you so much for coming in tonight, and enjoy your time out here in soggy California. Like they used to say in other states, they'd say, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. Now it's kind of like, well, if you don't like the weather and the sunny way, it'll be raining by next week maybe. But we can sure use it. We went through so many years of drought, as you know, and fires. Man, we can skip any of these wintertime fires that we had last year and get into spring and summer without any of that, and hopefully not too much this summer either. But you enjoy your time in Ontario, and we'll hear you again on the air, definitely, for sure. All right, let's say hello to Rick, KO6DGX. Rick up in San Ynez. This is Bob, W6CJX, and I am Net Control. Welcome, Rick.
I made my family disappear.
No, this keeps happening. I don't know. Where's everybody going? They're dropping like flies. They can't have this. This is not good. Let's try one more time. KO6DGX. Are you out there, Rick?
Yeah, hi, Bob. I don't know why my radio dropped out there. So hopefully you're hearing me, and thanks a lot for your work there. And here I am, KO6DGX.
Yeah, you're coming in great now. I don't know. There's still some weird internet things happening in the world. I don't know. So you see what happens. But did you have anything to contribute for the net tonight? Back to you.
Well, Bob, I had been thinking about you today. Wanted to remind you that it was crazy that we both saw that bear and the mountain lion on the 101 that day. But I just got my radio apparently working. What is the topic? And I'll try and contribute. KO6DGX.
I felt that was a little harsh when I said if you're something you'd like to contribute. I didn't quite mean it to sound that way. I meant I was turning it back to you so that if you had something to say, I don't know. Yeah, okay. If you have something to contribute. The topic for this evening is layering. So we're doing our little spring hiking series. I don't know how much further we're going to go than this, but this could be the end of the series tonight. But yeah, we're just talking like spring hiking, and you start out, the mornings are kind of cool and chilly, and then if you've hiked a little ways, you start getting a little warmer, and what do you start taking off and what you got on? So that's what we got. And it applies to, just like the other gentleman said, motorcycles. Absolutely. There's all kinds of layering going on in riding motorcycles because you've got all that wind all the time, and it could be cold and it could be hot. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, after my heart surgery, I was very sensitive to temperature, and so I thought it was only me. But I was rolling with thermal leggings underneath my pants and anything that I might be wearing. And then I found out my wife is the same way. She layers up, and in our morning walks or going outside and just preparing to be out there in the chill on the coast, we go with leggings, and then after that, there's like several layers that go on top, and always including fleece. So fleece is like kind of our final one with that. Got to go with the Carhartt cap on top, KO6 TGX.
Yeah, now you're talking. Yeah, Tractor Supply over there in Buellton. I've been there a few times. I used to stop there once in a while and pick stuff up. We use the bedding pellets. No, not like bedding at a casino, like for horses to lay in. Bedding pellets for our parrot. It doesn't even make much sense either. Parrot bedding pellets, because he doesn't bed in it, but it's just underneath his cage, and they smell so good. It's like the pellets they use for pellet stoves, I guess. Well, actually, it's the same thing they use for, not the same ones, but the same type of thing that they use for pellet grills. And so sometimes I get those mixed up. Sometimes the bird smells better because he smells like cherry wood or something. Okay, back on track. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, that's, fleece is our friend, definitely. Whoever invented that and came out with, I don't know, they make a lot of them from like Coke bottles, like the big liter bottles or something. They spin them out and make them into jackets. So yeah, fleece is our friend. Thank you, Rick. And last but not least, we have Victor W2 AYZ. What's going on, Victor? How's it going tonight? And welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Hey, good evening, Bob and Annette. W2AYZ here. I think living in Southern California, the weather has been really kind. Not so much rain. I've been living through different kinds of weathers. The southern humid and warm weather, and sometimes the Midwest winters as well. So I think for me, to learn to layer up is to make sure when you warm up, you have a layer that is wet, wicking, so that the moisture doesn't get too close to body. And when I grew up, we even learned that to put a layer of towel, like a synthetic or cotton towel behind the back, so that when it sweats, so it got soaked up, but you can easily pull it out so that you won't have moisture stay behind to whip away the moisture. Also, the outer layer has to better be breathable. Over time, the fabric has advanced so much that the outer layer can be doing pretty much waterproof, but still breathable, which is great for moisture to go out. However, I think over time, still, I have some waterproof Gore-Tex that has been 15 years older, so it's leaking some moisture or breaking down in terms of waterproofing. So yeah, it has happened sometimes. So still, one of the last winter storm a year ago got soaked within a few different Gore-Tex overcoat still. So I had to get new ones so that I knew better to prepare for waterproof as well. So yeah, wicking inside and waterproof outside, breathable if we can. It's a great topic. Thank you, and back to Ned.
And you can look up wicking in Wikipedia. Thank you very much, Victor. Yeah, there's, Gore-Tex, that was a big science thing, and it's been around for, 30 years now, Gore-Tex? It'll let you breathe. It'll let, your heat, I don't know about letting your heat out, but it will let it breathe, but also will keep out the water. And, I always figured, I've got 2 or 3 Gore-Tex jackets over the years, and they all kind of are about the same now, because you actually do have to apply like there's the wash, you can wash them in this chemical, I forgot who it's by now. I can picture the little bottles, got them at REI, and that'll put back the weatherproofing or the waterproofing on the outside. Supposedly the Gore-Tex holes are so small that it won't let water molecules through, but yet the material will get really wet and soaked. And I used to think, well, this is not working, but yeah, you got to reapply that. If you're living in the Northwest, you'd probably want to reapply it every year. at least for the season. Thank you, Victor. As always, let's see if we have anyone that we might have missed tonight. If I didn't catch you, didn't pick up on you coming in, any rechecks or anything like that, and any last calls, because we're going to close it down. W6EJX Net Control, so come on now.
Kilo 6 Delta Victor, Ellen.
Foxtrot Golf Whiskey, in and out.
KC6 WTN, Jeff.
Okay, very good. Look at that. I like it when we have kind of like an encore thing. I mean, well, I don't mean it that way, but it's like we still got some people out there. Yay. Okay, we got Ellen. We got Steve as an IO. Hi, Steve. FGW. And we got Jeff, WTN. Now, let's see. Ellen's got the motorcycle thing down pretty good, I think, by now. So maybe she could touch on that. I know you hike around quite a bit, but what kind of layering things do you do, or do you? What do you do? Inquiring minds want to know. Welcome, Ellen.
Oh, Bob, what a net you host. Several thousand, 100,000 miles of motorcycling, camping, 21 days on the road, and also 21 days in Europe with a backpack. So, yeah, I think I do have it down. And I hadn't heard anybody mention merino wool, which is a washable wool that is an incredible underlayment next to the skin. Keeps you warm in the winter, and it keeps you cool in the summer. That is my go-to for my overall shirts when I'm traveling. And then, of course, the 32 degrees. I have several of those. For summer, they work real well. And then there's a product called Heat Out, which is a top and bottom. You can buy them separate. But this is all when I'm motorcycling underneath my climb gear, which is Gore-Tex. And I gotta love Gore-Tex. It'll rain and I'll be dry, and it wicks out the moisture through the fibers, as you mentioned. And I have to say that all in all, after the years of motorcycling, you got to get it down to what you can carry and what you can wash and what works. And for me, merino wool is absolutely the top tier. Nothing else matches it for wearability, comfort, and durability, because I've got a couple of those long sleeve shirts. They're like sweaters with really tiny weaves, and they're fabulous, just fabulous. And I sound like I have a head cold, because I do. So I'm here, and I'm going to go toes up pretty soon. So I'll pass it back to you, Bob. Great net, K6 DV.
Well, I was hoping to hear your take on that tonight. When we started mentioning, I actually thought of it before the net, and then I totally escaped my mind about motorcycling with different layers. And I guess mainly because I was a dirt rider, and we basically would go out with our racing jerseys so we look cool, put our name on the back, and come up with some number that looks like Anyway, we didn't have a whole lot of other stuff, but it makes sense, if you're going to do any touring type riding and long distance and going, that you just never know, as I found out in the back of a Model A, as I told before in the rumble seat, that as you're traveling through the Northwest, any time of year, it may rain, and you're going to get rained on, which I did. So it's got to be prepared, like you said. All right, thank you, Ellen. Hope the sheepies are doing good. I don't know if they've given birth yet, but we're waiting. It's kind of like watching one of these Starlink launches. When they're going to take out? When's that baby going to come out of there? Bah. KC6 WTN, my last one for the night. And good to hear you. Well, I haven't heard you yet, just a little bit. And hope you're doing well. Go ahead, Jeff. Welcome.
Hi, Bob. Good to hear you. Thanks for doing the net as usual. Mainly just checking in, but also had a comment on wicking T-shirts. I've always worked an office job, but using a wicking T-shirt underneath the collared shirt, it got rid of the stickiness, and you don't have the sweat stains in the armpits and all that. So, plus for making sure you have a wicking barrier as one of your layers. Back to net control, KC6 WTN.
Hey, Bob.
That sounded like Steve. Come on back, Steve.
sorry about that. Just, when you're sitting there, all of a sudden you think of something else. And I may have stepped out of the room for a minute. Maybe I missed it, but I always wear polypropylene type or wool is very good as well. Socks, and I found that 2 layers of socks. One oftentimes it has to be a little on the thin side, but it gets some of that friction out of the toes, and it makes life a little bit easier to handle. Mainly the moisture, like everybody's been mentioning. So thanks again for doing the net. Sorry for the late jump in. WA6FGW.
No, not at all. Are you kidding? I was disappointed that you were at in and out, or that you were at In and Out. No, you were in and out, out and back. Some of the best moisture wicking is I usually depends. It really depends on what type of moisture wicking you're looking for, but depends works quite well. It's very anyway. So no legal commercial there for Depends. They don't endorse me, or I don't endorse them. Well, so moving forward, thank you, Steve. And I think before I get in too much more trouble, I'm going to get out of here too. And really enjoyed our spring hiking series. I don't know if I'll go any further than this. Maybe we'll do trekking poles. That was kind of one of the things I'd like to see what people's opinions are. I know that's changed a lot too since we started first talking about electric bicycles. Everyone's going, those aren't bicycles. No, what are you doing? No, it's cheating. Well, 99% of the people on the road right now are on, with all due respect to regular pedal bicycles, there's a lot of people, and most of them are kids, but a few of them are nice older folks like myself that just can't quite pedal up that hill anymore. All right, I want to thank the Papa System and, of course, Cecil with his legendary leadership and all the guys behind the scenes that are on the A-team that climb these towers and climb these mountains and give their life to us for taking care of our repeaters. And, of course, all the net controllers, we thank them tirelessly, too, because the commitment is real. And if you can't commit, you must acquit. So with that, I think I'll close the net at 21:16. Tell everybody to say good night, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time in the great outdoors.